Hello, happy Monday, everyone. I am Violette de Ayala, the founder of FemCity, and you're joining us today for our Monday series. Every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we hop on and give great courses, classes, programs, and all requested by our members. And so even though this is a public class or public series, it is all requested from our members. So I have asked the amazing Christi Norfleet to join me today. She is part of our FemCity Global Program. She is incredible in creating marketing tools that help small business owners move forward, thrive, and grow. She's also really gifted at scaling, at looking at operations, streamlining things to make it easier for small businesses to take it to the next level. And she's literally the person that anything I throw at her, she knows. It may not be her expertise, but she will know where to find it or who to direct me to. So she is someone that I actually go to as well. Christi, is there anything that you want to add to that before we get started about your background or experience?
No, I think that was very, very complimentary. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So today we are covering what are the steps needed to create a program. This was a request from one of our members. And as Christi and I were meeting in the green room preparing for this, we realized this could be two things. It could be how to create the marketing pieces of your new program, whether it's a mastermind or a paid program, an online course, and or it could also be how to launch a new program. So perhaps you've been noodling on something, you've wanted to create an online course, you've been wanting to create a mastermind. So the two of us are actually going to share tips for both. If you are watching and want something more specific in the future, just let me know and we'll go ahead and create a more specific one in the future. But we figured that if we just share advice and guidance for both of those, that we will cover the umbrella. But of course, this could be a 6-week course, right? Just on this alone. And so we're kind of trying to give you everything that you need to move forward. So Christi's going to cover the marketing side of launching a new program because that is like more of her wheelhouse. And then I will cover more of creating the curriculum for those that are trying to create an outline to move forward. So I think I got that covered, right, Christi?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I think for myself, I'm going to talk about creating that curriculum. So let's say you've been thinking about creating an online course or you've been thinking about creating a mastermind. I personally still host the FemCity accountability programs. We do it every other month. And we also just recently launched a scaling program, kind of like in pilot, which I have absolutely loved. I don't know if I'm going to do in the future, but I have loved it so far. And so for myself, when I think about the curriculum, there are 3 things that I consider when I'm about to create one. I think about the intention. The first thing I think about is, what is my intention? And it's always connected to the benefit of my students. So what can I give that they've been requesting of me? As an example, the accountability program came about because the pandemic had just started and a lot of our members couldn't afford coaching with me one-on-one. And I don't coach that much anymore one-on-one. So I was trying to create a program that could help our members who were looking for a little bit more hand-holding. When I started asking the questions, what would it actually be? What do you envision? They all kept saying about accountability. They were having a really hard time staying connected to their goals. And so that's where the accountability program came up. So when you think about your online program or your e-course or your mastermind, think about the intention. How are you going to serve your students? Generally, it's connected to things that have been requested of you already, right? Sometimes it takes 3 people to say, hey, I'd love to learn more about this. That could be a universal confirmation from above. But I always use that as a guidance. So the first thing is your intention. So you want to stay true to that. Before you think about pricing and how many people and all the marketing part, think about the intention. What do you want your students to get out of that? That's the first thing. The second thing is, I always think about the end goal, right? So I have my intention. What is my end goal? As an example, for the accountability program, I want them to all achieve their goals, right? Like, that's obvious. That's what I want. In 4 weeks, I want them to nail their goals. I want them to feel very successful. I want them to feel love. And then I want them to be able to move on, right? So I don't always have to handhold them. I want them to be able to progress. Often, like 90% of them rejoin again because they have other goals, but that's not my intention. My intention is to make it so that they have the tools and the resources. And the third one is to go ahead and give them everything that I have, the ways that actually help me. So I structure it based on the content and the information that I've obtained over my 30, 40 years of being an entrepreneur. I go ahead and create that curriculum, those steps, that outline. So I think about my own goals, how I'm creating it, the things that come up, and that helps me to formulate my outline. So just as a review, think about your intention. What is your, what do you want your students to get out of it? Think about the alignment, the end results, so what do you want them to learn after 4 weeks? And then thinking about the specific steps. And I think a lot of female small business owners and entrepreneurs that create online courses are generally doing it because it's their expertise. How did you get there? What are the specific things that you needed to learn? So, and I'm using the accountability program as an example. I know that self-limiting beliefs is a huge thing. I know blocks are a huge thing. I know the narratives that we have playing in our mind is a huge thing. So I spend a lot of time on that in the accountability program because that's the layer to get them to their success. So those are my 3 tips. I'm going to hand it over to Christi now. Christi's going to cover the marketing aspect. So again, you'd have to construct your online you have to construct your online program, intention, what they're going to get out of it, and then of course the results, all those details I just shared. Now you can move over into Christi's world, and then Christi's going to give you the tips on how to market it. So Christi, what are 3 simple tips or advice that you have for our members that are now ready to market their new program?
So before I do, I want to piggyback off of something that you said. And it was talking about how when you're creating, you're talking about how you can be of service to others. And there was something that you said, and ironically, my dad is visiting from out of town and he's sitting in the other room. And he shared something with me when I started my first, one of my first jobs. And it was about sharing your knowledge and sharing what you know and being of service to others. And I will tell you that I feel like it has been one of the biggest learning lessons that I ever had, because I was working in this job where I was by far the youngest person. And in my somebody's asking me how I'm doing that, I'm just telling them how I do what I'm doing. And it actually got me hired because I'd started as a temp. But ever since then, I've been that person who's like, let me help. I've got the information. I'm going to be of service to others. And it has not cost me. And I feel like it's one of those things that's been absolutely wonderful about FemCity is there's more of that mindset of sharing and being of service to others. And that is not familiar and comfortable if you're coming from a corporate world, because it's all about competition and it's all about holding what you know, because that's essentially that's your power position. And so it's a very different mindset. And I just wanted to really highlight that one piece. So it really does pay off, even if it feels counterintuitive to everything that you've learned in your professional journey up to this point.
I love that you shared that, because there are so many women in our community that perhaps left corporate, the great resignation. We do have a lot of women that came over to FemCity, or we also have a lot of women that are kind of balancing both worlds. They're in the corporate world, but they also envision themselves either to become a freelancer or a consultant, to create their own firm. And so I love that you shared that, because I do see that quite a bit, that mindset shift where it's a little bit uncomfortable at first, but then I find that the more we share, specifically in a social media setting or through those one-on-one, it always leads into referrals where people come back and say, you know what, that was great that you taught me how to do SEO. I don't have time. That's not my jam. I'm going to hire you. So I see that also coming back in the monetization part.
Yep. It's a part of the sales process, even if you're not aware that you're actually in a sales conversation. So huge opportunities there. Okay. So then in terms of specifically marketing, so you're talking about you've done a lot of this marketing work ahead of time in order to build your outline. And I'm going to say outline is great. Building out every single nook and cranny of your course before you've sold a single course is not the best use of your time. And for a lot of people, it's how people hide. So while you're working on the general idea about what it is that you think you have to offer, not getting stuck in the weeds from the very beginning, because you want to make sure that your idea, your concept, your program is something that's actually going to come to market and be of value, and somebody's going to actually want to buy it. And so the first step of making sure that you're marketing, effectively is actually understanding what the community needs. So you may think that you have this idea because somebody has told you, or you've got this passion that you've always wanted to do, but when you roll it out there, it's not quite right. It needs to be adjusted or tweaked. So step one is survey your ideal client list. And maybe, 0.1 is actually know who your ideal client is. So you got this idea, you know, come up with this moment of brilliance at 3:00 in the morning, know who you want to serve so that you can start to ask them, hey, I've got this idea. So as an example, Confluence Business Solutions has been marketing automation. We're technologically focused, but over and over and over again, our clients have said, I need help with copy. I don't have time to write content. Or, hey, it would be really great if you could also just handle the social. So like when we started to hear that stuff over and over and over again, like that's our ideal clients telling us that there's a need and we have the ability to solve it. We just need to make some adjustments in our business. So we're listening to the feedback of our community. The other side of that is knowing who your competition is. So, you know, like we're always asked that question as we're looking to grow, as we're looking to, you know, be effective is what makes us different, what makes us unique. So there's going to be somebody else who's probably doing something similar to what you want to do. So know what your competition is doing, know how they're reaching so that you can, you know, create your value proposition to like differentiate yourself from them. So you have to know who those people are in order to make those pieces happen. The next thing is actually creating a prototype or like your beta version. So before you run it live, it'd be certainly helpful to make sure you work out all of your kinks. So as an example, I'm going to do a little self-promotion. We have a brand new product. It's in beta testing right now. It's called Business Automation in a Box. And while I was so excited, I really, really wanted it out in January. Nope, not going to do it. Going to send it out in beta, make sure that everybody, that like I have a small group of people that are running through it. They're going to find the problems so that before somebody is paying money for it and expecting a perfect product, we've worked out all of those kinks. And it has been so valuable because I've gotten feedback about things that I wouldn't have paid attention to or I didn't care about. It wasn't important to me. And so if they're telling me it's important, then I know that it's something that needs to be addressed because chances are they're not alone. So little things like that can be resolved if you test your product beforehand. Give it an opportunity for somebody else to figure out where the kinks are, where the friction is in an experience, because you want that customer experience to be smooth, seamless, and frictionless. That's my new favorite word this year. And then the other piece that I love about prototyping is, so for me, and different people do different things. Some people may charge a discounted rate to be a beta tester. Some people may choose to be free. You get to test my product and I require a good testimonial. I don't mean like, oh yes, she did a great job. Like I need specifics because I need you to speak to that prospective buyer. So because we know that testimonial is authenticity, it's showing that you have like authority and you're the expert in your industry. Like it has to be something really good and really valuable. So beta testing allows you the ability to get some real life use cases. And so when you're giving a testimonial, it's not just broad and generic and doesn't really mean anything. I think the other piece that I didn't really go back into about your, like when you're assessing your ideal client and your community is it also gives you the ability to start to understand, like, what does it cost to run this program? What does it, what do I feel like it needs to be? So if you know what your competition is and you know that they're charging $1,000 for their version of your product, is your product better than theirs? Does it need to be charging more than that? Does it need to be charged less? And the reason I go back and I mention that again is because women are not great by nature at assigning a value that's really true to who they are and the talents that they have to offer. And so, and I was trying to find a graceful way to say that, but I hope that that's clear, that what I'm trying to say is like, charge what you're worth. And the way that you can do that is knowing who your customer or who your competition is. In terms of like actually getting the word out and the, like in terms of like the actual, like we're going to market via social media and that sort of thing, you know, my philosophy and my perspective really is about using your existing community first and foremost. So, you know, like I said, we're rolling out a new product. And so we're going to start with trying to build buzz. And so for me, like I'm terrible at secrets. So I feel like the perspective that I can take is I've got a secret. I'm going to share it. It's coming. And look at me. I've really done a terrible job of keeping my secret because I've shared it all with you already. But you kind of get what I'm saying is that you build some anticipation. You can do that via email. You can do that via your social media channels, but give people an idea that something is coming so that they're really excited. And that when you do finally release your product, your new program, whatever that is, that you not only are celebrating by yourself, that you're celebrating with the people that already know you, like you, trust you, and are excited to see you succeed. And then the other part of that is, so I'll do a little plug for Shannon. I feel like I say her last name incorrectly. Shannon Hindenburger has been running a new program on building your squad. And I've gotten to watch a couple of the replays, but it's perfect because that is one of the best ways that you can not have to pay a ton of money for social media advertising, but you use your community of super powerful, awesome femmes to go out and spread the word about the work that you're doing. So you build that core group of people. You don't have to have this big, enormous list, but you can catapult yourself through the lists of the other people that you've built those relationships with. So I feel like having that sort of relationship or strategy in your back pocket is absolutely going to help you be effective with launching a new product. And so while I say don't build 100% of your program before you start, build it when you find out that you've got a viable, concept. And I do say build out your marketing strategy. So figure out who your partners are, figure out who those people are that are going to be able and willing to share the messaging and share the word. And then my last piece, and some people love him, some people don't. I feel like I have mixed feelings. There's this guy, his name is Jeff Walker, and he has a book called Product Launch. And he does a really great job of helping people, sort of create this formula, essentially like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Now you can also, like, once you've read the book, you'll actually find it in your own inbox when people are following step 1, step 2, step 3, same thing. But the reason why people do it is because it works. So, how you get your product out there and how you sell that, whether you have an open cart and a closed cart, whether you open it and you leave it open indefinitely, whether you create scarcity around a discount or scarcity around the total number of units that you're selling, all of those things, like those pieces are all totally up to you. And it's based on your philosophy, what you're comfortable with what your relationship with your business. But in terms of being able to use your existing community and your partnerships to launch that formula, I think he's got some really great ideas that you can build off of as well.
Love it. All right. That was awesome.
That was a lot.
Yeah, but it was, I wrote down some notes just to kind of pull out more, I like to pull things out because I want people to capture these specific things that you shared. So yeah. I love that you, there's a marketing side also with everything that you mentioned before you gave them official marketing tips. As an example, when people are telling you what they need from you or asking, that's already kind of like you can leverage that to tell them, you know what, that's great information. If I put this together as a program, would that be of interest? Would that help you? So you're already creating very much, like you said, like a buzz. You're also creating your partnerships, people that will know about it. So
and you're validating a concept.
Exactly. Well, as you're validating your concept, and I always feel like you get that also before you even create. Like I always create based on what I've heard over and over and over and over again. That I'm like, okay, I've got to definitely create this because I've heard it over and over and over again. But if you haven't heard it over and over again, just by doing your survey, your market research, you can leverage that time to also promote what's to come. Kind of, exactly what you said. Using it as a way to kind of give out a little bit of excitement and tell them it's coming soon. I love that you mentioned listening to your people because, again, as you listen to them share, you can use that time to promote what you're thinking about creating. So you don't have to have it completely done. If someone says, gosh, I'm really having a hard time, I'm using you as an example, Christy. If someone says to Christy, I'm really having a hard time with, the copy, like you mentioned, I'm like, just really, you know what, if I created a copy program, what would it look like? What would it feel like? How would it benefit you? You can even ask, what's the price point? Like, what would be your budget for like an introductory, whatever. So you can leverage all that. And I love that you shared knowing your competition, because I think a lot of our members feel like I don't want to know too much about my competition because I also don't want to subconsciously copy them or subconsciously know, or I just kind of want to, I want to be a little bit ignorant about that. But I love that you mentioned that because you could then read the copy and see how you feel. And honestly, you could have 4 different dentists, all very successful at a networking event, and everyone's going to pitch themselves different, and people will connect with one of the 4. Mm-hmm. So even if you have 4 of the exact same, your vibe is always going to stand out a little bit different, but it's really great to know what the going rate is or what they're offering so that you can kind of tweak it and be very unique and specific. And I love that you mentioned about women not valuing themselves, Christy. I know it was a little uncomfortable for you to say because it's a very hard thing to talk about. I will say during the pandemic, I came up with a speaking, someone paid me to speak. And I I shared it with my husband and he goes, you know what? You should double that. That's super inexpensive. You should double that. And you know what I did is I doubled and then I added some, just added some extra because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it like my husband would. He doubled it. And then I went even crazy and I added, and you know what? They took it and they sent me the check like that. So thinking about really your knowledge, what you're bringing to the table, how it's going to help that person, how it's going to help their business thrive, thinking about the results that you're going to provide, what is that worth? Because that will really help you, because maybe it's time for you to bump it up a little bit.
Right.
The groceries today, I did groceries. Everything's been up $1. Every little item I usually like chocolate chips. It used to be $1.99. Now it's $2.99. So everything is, just bump it up just a little bit. It doesn't have to be crazy, but.
Well, and that kind of goes back to that ideal client. Like if you know who your ideal client is and your ideal client also fits within the price range that you need for that product, then it's a match. Yeah. And if not, you have to either figure out whether or not you've overpriced your product, which chances are you probably didn't, but you might need to do some adjustment to your ideal client so that you're not having money conversations every time, because this is somebody who can't really afford what you have to offer.
Yeah, I love that. With FemCity, people are like, wow, it's so cheap to join FemCity. And it is, but not for everybody. And so for the longest time, we were like, do we decrease it? Do we increase it? But it's a really good, solid price point. And now we have a scholarship. So when people say it's a little bit too expensive for me, I always then say, apply for our scholarship, because we want to be there for all women. So not everyone's going to be in your market. Not everyone's going to be able to afford, but you can then in the future consider like other opportunities that will then help, people that are probably not at that level of where you're creating all the time.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So we had some love that came through. Lucy, I think you're in Philadelphia. I can't remember, but let me know. I try to remember where our members are. So thank you so much. We have someone from Facebook. Great tips. Thank you. And so true. So love it. Oh, Lucy was in Philadelphia. I love when I get it right.
Yay.
All that cod liver oil that I've been drinking with beet juice is working out. I'm remembering things. Final advice, Christi, that you have for our members that are looking at having a very successful launch of a new program?
I think don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I think that goes across the board, whether you're asking for help from asking your friends in your network and your community to share what you're doing and what you're working on, or it's asking for help because you're lost about a particular step and that you need a little bit of guidance or a little bit of encouragement to help, work through something. A lot of times we may have just simple blind spots that just, like we just need an outsider's perspective. And so ask for help.
Yeah, I love that tip. Thank you. Christi, our format really well. I mean, you're a seasoned femme for many years. It seems like, maybe now a year and a half. I think maybe
1 year, almost a year. Yeah.
Almost a year. It just feels like you've been a part of our community for years. But that's part of the reason why we do that ask component with our networking, is because women don't want to ask for help. They feel like they have to do everything. They have to learn everything. You can ask for help. You can reach out to experts. You can ask someone, hey, can you, just like you were saying with your beta, create packages, programs, outlets that help you, because none of us do it alone. I certainly have not created my success alone. I've had a lot of opportunity to ask for help, and now I love asking for help. Now it's like my favorite thing. I'm like, I need help. I don't know how to do this. That's on my wheelhouse of expertise. Let me reach out to someone who's an expert, like Christi, of course, who helps a lot of our femmes. All right, Christi, thank you so much for your time today. This was amazing. For those that are watching, whether live or the replay this weekend, I know you guys like watching on the weekends, that's why I say that. Please feel free to reach out to Christi. She's also one of our FemCity experts, and she's very well loved in our community. So please reach out to her and ask any questions. Of course, you can reach out to me as well, but I'm not an expert in this area. This is like her jam. So reach out to her. Christi, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I would say in the FemCity community, the circle community, I pop over there every so often, but I think I also get messages. And then we can also, I'll share my email address and my free 30-minute strategy session for Facebook for anybody who pops on via the social media.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Christi.
Thank you.
Good day. Thank you. And much success to everyone that's watching. We can't wait to hear about your program and cheer you on. And we'll be back next Monday. You can head over to femcity.com for more content like this. Mwah! Thank you so much. Bye.